Now, I know Saracens isn't a subject you want to go on about, but I will. Can I get one in on that one?
Yeah, sure.
Because we haven't spoken to you since they've decided not to appeal. I mean, with them being sort of out the running to defend the title, does it in some way tarnish this year's competition, or is it something that is for other people to worry about?
Gosh, that's a good question. They're not out of the running, because one thing I think with that bunch is they will come together harder. I think they'll be tougher to beat than ever before, because they are a tremendous group of players and coaches there. Whatever's happened in the last couple of weeks, I think this will actually make them even tougher to beat. In many respects, I think the European result last week is a little bit of an anomaly for them. I don't think that'll continue for too long. So yes, in some respects, I think. Does it change things? Well, you're still going to have to beat some pretty good teams to get to the top. It's not all about just one team. Having said that, I mean, I'm not too fussed about the whole fines points thing. I'd be looking forward to that game when we get to it at Christmas. I think that'll be a fairly big game for us.
Let's leave it there. Bit of news, incoming player this week, Enrico Pieretto. Have I got that one right? I said it right? I was thinking Enrico Palazzo from Naked Gun. But,
you cast my mind back. I'm old enough to
Enrico
remember
Palazzo
Naked
saved
Gun.
the Queen.
Yeah.
Obviously he was brought in through necessity more than necessarily than want, I guess. I mean, what news on him? What was it about him that particularly jumped you?
Well, obviously we had to move fairly quick because we lost the two senior lads in fairly quick succession, in Tom and Greg, and they're going to be out for a fairly considerable block, which opens up the chance to bring somebody in on injury dispensation. For those folk who don't know how that works, when you're going to be missing people for that period of time, you're allowed to bring somebody in of similar standard. And with Enrique, availability obviously at this stage, there's not too many folk knocking about, certainly not folk from the Northern Hemisphere to go for. We've got two outstanding young guys in Alfie and Marcus sitting in behind Harry, but we have got A games and we have got a run of sort of 13-14 games to deal with, so to ask those guys to go that deep over that period of time is risky, because you're probably almost certainly going to be finding yourself looking for front row at some point within that block. So we just felt it was just a good move to get somebody who's available, who's experienced. Obviously he's come with Santiago's sort of recommendation as well. There's a lot of things to like. They normally settle in quite well, the RG lads here, and we're looking forward to seeing him on the pitch.
I got stitched up when Cordero arrived. Went to interview him and they told me he didn't speak any English and had me trying to do the sort of pidgin Spanish, which I didn't have either. I'm taking Enrique speaks English.
To a point. Obviously, I think he's struggling a little bit with my accent, to be fair. So we've got a couple of guys who speak a little bit more Queen's English, sort of transferring some stuff to him. But yeah, and a lot of the rugby stuff is we sometimes, you can call it jargon if you like, but there is a lot of rugby jargon that's transferable across all the teams really. So some of that rugby stuff is a lot easier to pick up than you might imagine from a language. Whereas actually sitting in the changing room and listening to Cow and Dickie talking, that might be a different thing.
You might not learn much there.
No.
Before we have a quick word about Glasgow, last weekend result was probably the standout of the weekend, looking at the Champions Cup opening day. I mean, how pleased were you that you had a response from Bristol, and also just to come away from France with a bonus point win for the first time?
It's obviously a great result from a European point of view. To get 5 points away from home is against one of a major competitor is huge, really. It doesn't mean anything if we don't turn up and perform at home this week. So whilst last week was good, I've obviously got to answer the question. We've moved on pretty quickly into Glasgow, because what we have learned is it's not knockout rugby, but it's very pressured rugby. You've got to keep your form going. You don't get too many second chances in this comp. So we had a blistering start there. The lads were fantastic. A lot of things that we put onto the pitch, and even it wasn't perfect by any means. We made a lot of errors in that game, but we bounced through them pretty well. And it's created a lot of excitement for this week.
I know before that game, a lot of the guys were saying in the past you've had standout results where you've beaten some of the big teams, but you haven't backed them up.
Yeah.
What's the balance between thinking too much about backing up a performance because you haven't before, and just playing it as a single game? Because you can get caught up in history when really it kind of doesn't matter, does it?
No, it doesn't really. You've got to. I know it's the old coaching cliche, but we are dealing with each game at a time. There are a few things around Europe that you do need to be aware of in terms of slightly different pressure, in terms of, as I say, that knockout style. You know, the different teams. You know, in the Premiership we know each other inside out really, but as a group of coaches and players, and that obviously is different in Europe. Different refereeing, all the other things that travel, all the other things that go along with it. But realistically, just dealing with it one game at a time. But being able to accept the fact that it's like a semi-final, it's like a final, it's a big game against a big team and a one-off, and actually embracing that excitement rather than sort of trying to not talk about it or avoid it is really important. So no, it's we're all very excited about Glasgow coming to town. You know, we played them before with mixed results, obviously, and they had a good result too.
Now you've got their best player.
Well, we've got one of their players. He's our player now, and he's doing pretty well. We're pretty happy with how he's settled in, and it's an important game for Stuart, so we're all very focused on making sure it goes well for him.